Heavy D Sparks wasn't just a TV personality. He became a full-on movement, builder, adventurer, rescuer, and wildcard content machine. From Diesel Brothers fame to viral YouTube recoveries, the guy was everywhere. Until he wasn't. The uploads slowed, the updates stopped, and the wild missions we were used to seeing, they went quiet. Fans started asking the obvious, where's Heavy D? Had he stepped away from the spotlight? Was something wrong behind the scenes? Or was this all leading up to something far more intense than anyone realized? Because here's the thing, while the cameras weren't rolling, Heavy D didn't vanish. He went deeper. And what he was doing during that silence, that's the part nobody was ready for. Before the mystery, before the whispers, before the so-called disappearance, there was the rise. Heavy D Sparks, real name Dave Sparks, wasn't born for fame. He built it, literally. From a small-town Utah gearhead to the towering, bearded force behind Diesel Brothers, he earned a massive fan base with custom diesel builds, over-the-top truck transformations, and a bigger-than-life personality that felt more like a best friend than a TV host. But when the TV show slowed down, Heavy D didn't. He pivoted hard into YouTube, launching wild recovery missions, off-road rescues, and content that blurred the line between entertainment and real-life danger. He wasn't just lifting engines anymore. He was lifting wrecked helicopters out of the mountains, searching through mine shafts for missing people, and doing what most wouldn't even think of attempting. What made him different was simple. He did things most people would run from, and he brought millions of viewers along for the ride. But that fearless energy eventually hit a wall, because somewhere in the middle of all that chaos and courage, Heavy D started to vanish from the public eye, and people noticed. It didn't happen overnight. There was no dramatic exit, no farewell posts, no scandal blowing up on social media. But if you were paying attention, you could feel it. By late 24, the uploads slowed. The high-octane recovery videos that used to drop like clockwork stopped. His presence on Instagram? Fading. Facebook? Quiet. YouTube? Sparse. And that silence, that's what started the rumors. Fans began flooding the comments. Where's Heavy D? Is everything okay? Did he quit? Some even speculated darker outcomes. Had something gone wrong on a mission? Was there a personal issue he was dealing with? Had he walked away from the spotlight entirely? The algorithm noticed too. His channel, once a constant on YouTube's trending tab, slipped into the background. The energy felt different. The man who once pulled wreckage out of frozen lakes and dragged broken aircraft out of the backcountry had seemingly disappeared. But here's the twist. Heavy D wasn't missing. He was busy doing the kind of work that doesn't fit into easy titles or clickbait thumbnails. And when the truth finally started to surface, it wasn't just surprising, it was something few expected. While fans were speculating and timelines were going quiet, Heavy D wasn't resting. He was risking his life. Behind the scenes, far from the YouTube spotlight, Heavy D was deep in some of the most intense search and rescue operations in recent memory. We're not talking content stunts or showy recoveries. These were real missions, real missing people, real danger. He and his crew were crawling through abandoned mine shafts in the Utah desert, searching for leads in the decades-old Susan Powell disappearance. They were pushing through harsh terrain in the search for Dylan Rounds, another high-profile missing person case with emotional weight and no easy answers. These weren't YouTube challenges. These were personal. In one jaw-dropping moment, he even led a team into the mountains during the January 2025 search for a downed pilot. Navigating treacherous terrain with helicopters, ropes, winches, and grit, most people couldn't comprehend. And the craziest part? Most people didn't even know it happened because he wasn't filming it for attention. He was just doing it. That silence fans interpreted as Heavy D disappearing. It wasn't silence at all. It was sacrifice. It was late nights, freezing temperatures, and dead-end trails. It was work that doesn't go viral, but still matters more than most will ever realize. And just when people thought he'd walked away from the spotlight, he was walking straight into the dark. For most YouTubers, silence equals decline. Fewer uploads, fewer views, fewer checks. But for Heavy D, it was different. His disappearance from the digital space didn't mean he was done. It meant he was focused. Focused on something bigger than clicks. See, in a world where content creators obsess over visibility, Heavy D made a bold move. He stepped back. Not for drama, not because of burnout, but because the missions he was on didn't belong in a YouTube thumbnail. They weren't meant to be monetized. Some things are just too real, too raw, and too important for likes and watch time. And that kind of silence, it speaks volumes. It shows maturity, purpose, a shift from building trucks for entertainment to using those trucks for impact. While others were chasing viral trends, Heavy D was chasing closure for grieving families, for cold cases, for people who needed answers when no one else was stepping up. And while fans waited for the next big recovery video, Heavy D was recovering something much more meaningful. Human lives, lost stories, and unfinished business that couldn't be wrapped up in a 15-minute edit. That's why the silence hit so hard. Because when he wasn't saying anything, he was actually doing everything. Here's the paradox. While Heavy D was out of the public eye, his legend was growing. The quiet didn't kill his momentum. It multiplied it. Because when a larger-than-life figure suddenly goes silent, people don't forget. They obsess. Fans dug through old videos, rewatched recoveries, speculated on forums, and refreshed his socials waiting for any kind of update. In an age of constant noise, Heavy D's absence became its own kind of presence. And when he did reemerge, even subtly, through a quick update or low-key post, those moments hit harder than any viral stunt ever could. The silence gave his story weight. It proved he wasn't just an entertainer or gearhead. He wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing something real. It made fans see him differently, not just as the guy who builds massive diesel rigs, but as someone who walks into danger when others stand back. In a weird way, his lack of content made the content more valuable. It's no longer just about builds and rescues. It's about the man behind it all, his choices, his values, his mission. And now, with that silence broken, the stakes feel even higher. Because whatever he shares next, it won't be for views. It'll be because it matters. Heavy D Sparks didn't disappear. He evolved. And now everyone's wondering, what's next? Is he coming back to regular uploads? Is he working on another rescue behind the scenes? Will we see more massive vehicle builds or something entirely different? The truth is, no one knows for sure. But one thing is certain, he's not done. Not by a long shot. Heavy D has always played the long game. When the show ended, he pivoted. When YouTube got saturated, he went deeper, literally into mine shafts, backcountry trails, and icy rivers. His next move? It probably won't look like anything we've seen before. There are rumors swirling, a new docuseries, exclusive recovery missions, maybe even a film project that tells the stories most people never hear. And judging by how he's operated lately, it'll be done on his terms, at his pace, and for his reasons. The silence didn't end the story. It set the stage for something bigger. So if you're a fan, a follower, or just someone who stumbled onto his wild story, now's the time to pay attention, because when Heavy D shows up again, it won't be small. Heavy D Sparks didn't fade. He didn't give up. He didn't walk away from the spotlight for fame, drama, or attention. He walked away because some missions don't need to be filmed to be meaningful. While the world scrolled, speculated, and waited for the next upload, he was out there, dragging wreckage out of the mountains, dropping into dangerous mine shafts, searching for answers when no one else would. That's not content, that's commitment. And now, with the mystery surrounding his so-called disappearance finally cleared, fans are seeing a different kind of hero. One who doesn't just build machines, but uses them for something real. The truth? Heavy D never disappeared. He just stopped talking and started doing. So the next time the feed goes quiet or the uploads pause, remember, that silence might mean something's happening. Something that doesn't need an audience. Something that matters more than any view count ever could. Because when Heavy D returns, it won't be for clicks. It'll be because the mission demands it.